doing it. I feel like that's just kind of the narrative truth of my life. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it. Fake it till you make it and all that. Hello, everyone. It is Wednesday, February 10th. It's not on my screen, I promise. It's Wednesday, February 10th, 2021. I am Enviroboy. I'm committing to it. I'm gonna do it. It's a goofy ass name, but I'm doing it. I don't know why, but I'm sticking to it. I'm sticking to it. Because you can change your Twitch name, and I could make it whatever I want to. But I'm sticking with this stupid name that I don't even have confidence about. But you know what? It's just what I'm doing. What's up, kitty? I hear you down there. Oh, your hands smell weird. I know. I used a different lotion. Do you want to come up and hang out, or are you just doing a drive-by here? She doesn't know what she wants. What cat ever knows what it wants? None of them. I'm here. I've got caffeine. I got my computer going. We got some writing to do. We are going to continue what we started. Well, I mean, really, we started this particular thing that I'm writing a while ago. We started this one. Was it last Friday? It's probably even earlier. I feel like I've been working on this one since I started doing the writing streams, which is which at this point in time, this marks a full week completed. This is Wednesday. We started last Wednesday, so yeah. So we're doing good. We're doing good. I've been sticking to my schedule. I have not gotten discouraged and quit, which is cool. Because that's all on me, I mean, it's just a matter of, am I dedicated enough to stick with something? And apparently I am with this anyway, so we're cruising with it, baby. We're gonna go with it. So let's see here. Oops, I gotta make sure this is syncing. Get it syncing like sinking ship, because we're doing pirate ship themed thing. Gosh, just fate is telling us that it's all coming together. Okay, let's see here. I need to pull up the map we were working on. So I'm going to open up Dungeon Painter Studio. I'm going to open that bad boy up. Eventually. I should have opened that up beforehand, because Steam takes forever and a half to load up. So it has to do all of its, like, database maintenance and stuff. My cat is freaking out right now. It's like a redundant thing. My cat's always freaking out. Alright, we're going to open up what we started last time. Started Shipwreck Beach. There we go. Oops. Center up. There we go. So this is what we were working on. We got everything numbered. Excuse me. I apologize. That was not polite of me. So as people will probably remember, the concept of this dungeon is we are working on a beach that is covered in destroyed ships. And all of these little rooms, quote unquote, that we've added. Where are my hands? I don't know what to do with my hands. Sorry, I'm just looking at my camera feedback just to try and center myself, zen myself. No, I'm just trying to get a sense of space here because I don't know. I mean, there may come a time when I want to zoom the camera out just so I can do ridiculous hand motions and have everyone see all of them, because right now I feel like I'm a little like in it. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, so discussing the map, we are on an island. Let me pull up the master. Come along, load on up Photoshop. Photoshop's a big program. You can tell it's big because I'm operating on just, I'm operating on solid state here, man. Like we're not waiting for disks to spin and warm up or anything. We're just like flat out solid state, and it still takes all that time. So we've got our world. We've got Zaoria, right? This is what we're looking at. and we are, let's see, let's get our zoom tool, and we are zooming in a bit more, move our hand tool over here. We are working on this island right here. We do have an island map, but I'm not going to bother pulling that up right now. We don't really need it, and I don't want to open up too many windows at once, just because it has nothing to do with whether or not my computer can handle it, and everything to do with the fact that I get confused about what windows open when I do that. So we're going to bring up our thing. So we're on the map here, and when you zoom in, the shipwreck beach is somewhere along here, right? And the reason this exists is because within this world, everything is all kinds of wonky. Over here, there's a whirlpool that's really toying with the currents within the sea, the currents at the trade routes that would normally be used for ships traveling through here. Causes all kinds of navigation errors. It's like a magical EMP for radar or something like that. And it has resulted in in dozens of shipwrecks occurring on this little stretch of, oh my gosh, I cannot talk. This little stretch of beach. What a beach. And that is where we end up here. I should probably add like a compass rose or something like that. There's got to be like a shapes tool in here, I would think, or like a drawing tool. I could do spline line. I could just do like a line. Yeah, I mean, we could just do this. And we could do like that. And if we do that and then that, you know, like we could just make an arrow and then put north towards whichever way is north, right? Because that's how we're orienting this. Because over here is where I'm going to put the coastline, and in fact, maybe I can, you know, let's just do a select tool. Oh shoot! Oh, I did not mean to do that. Did it move? It moved the whole thing. Okay, that's good. At least it moved everything together. I meant to do like a selection thing, but we'll do it that way. We'll just do it one at a time. Just get rid of those. I don't actually want to work with those right now. To make it more clear, what I might do here, I don't want the Dragonville one. I want my collection here, fluids. That's a poor word choice. I feel like fluids sounds a little too clinical, if you ask me. We'll go ahead and do water down here. It's not exceptionally artistic this way, but I feel like if we do that, then it makes it kind of clear where the water is, and I think that's a relevant detail. So let's see here. Select all of those and keep them all as part of the map skeleton. So there we go. So that makes it a bit more obvious what's going on there. And yeah, I think that's good. I am gonna put the compass rose there. We'll make the line thickness a little less. Just make it black. Zoom in so I know what I'm doing here. And really, if we're doing a compass rose, it should be like up here. You know what? I'm gonna better idea. We're just gonna make it nice and thin. That's better, and then we'll do like that, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna get our text here. North black. I'm gonna put that right there. Actually, you know what? Let's see here. I want to go here. Select that. shoot. Okay, we're gonna put in a new one because I was not paying attention to what I was doing. Let's see here. North. There we go. Perfect. So that's a good compass rose for us there. That just gives it there. I think that's pretty non-intrusive. I could probably make it more transparent. Make it more invisible. Wouldn't be the worst idea. But I don't know. I think I think it's important to make sure we have the north there, and that gives us a good sense of our map, right? Because that corresponds then with our map here, knowing that it's going along this particular coastline. So I think that's good. I like that. Now, we were adding details, and if I'm remembering, we had gotten the details up through all of our combat zones. Yeah, we had that's right, head buried in the sand. Corners of this area is a chest. This chest contains 600 gold and 400 gold worth of gems. That's right. So, like, that's for if they beat the boss, quote unquote, of this quote unquote dungeon. Using the term dungeon is definitely a loose fit, but I think it still fits. And I think that players deserve rewards for going through that. So I think that's appropriate. Let's see here, the guarded entrance. So that kind of falls on to the shoulders of the water. How did I? Yeah, see, I did that. I could almost actually. You know what I could do? Let's see. I'm just gonna group all those together as part of the map section. I could almost move that one down, but I actually kind of like it where it is, just because then it's clear that it's meant to be part of the map and everything. Excuse me. That's right, yeah. And so we added like a skill challenge for anyone approaching from the waters to be able to make it. Yeah, that's right. And so failures might drag them to a different part, or even drag them to the whirlpool, right? But it'll definitely throw them off kilter, do some extra damage to them, do some like drowning damage or something silly. So yeah, that's good. We have marker 2. Where did I put that? Marker 2 is, what we're gonna do here. Well, we're just going over these little bits. I'm just gonna set this up right here so it's a bit easier for me to see. We'll close that a little bit. Okay, so marker 2, we've got, yeah, over here on the beach, over in that area, there's a bunch of crabs. Marker 3, you go inland a little bit, there's some giant crabs. That seems fitting, that seems appropriate. I still am liking that. I am not liking the format of that extra space there. It's hideous, get rid of it. Marker 4, up in this area, have our difficult, so that's where you start seeing some zombies. Marker 5, deadly combat, even more zombies in a larger area. That's right, and there was and sort of the idea is that it could be like a multi-story section of ship. That if they go through region 7 here first, they can maybe get the drop on them. And then 6, that's where our boss zombie is, our husk zombie burster, the captain. Oh shoot, what did I name him? Captain something or other. Where is he? Captain Solomon, that's right, there it is. Captain Solomon. So yeah, so he's there. I think that's good. I'm pleased with what we've got so far. I think that's fitting. I think it's good. I think it's pretty balanced, all things considered. Good, no complaints. Moving on. So number 7. So area number 7, I always try to include some sort of puzzle in my dungeons. I like there to be some sort of think-based challenge for the players. And I try to make them. So one of the important things that I try to do when I'm making puzzles, and I've got a method for making puzzles that I enjoy, and I'll kind of walk through here. In fact, I'm just gonna go ahead and main screen that again, so that we can talk about that. Whoa, menu! Sorry. What's wrong with me? Yeah, I've got a tool um, or a system that I use. Pull that out. I'm gonna pull out my dice too. I don't think I need it for making a puzzle, but you never know. I'll get some cool dice going. I look for any excuse I can find to use some dice. I mean, are you kidding me? I love dice. Dice are awesome. It's good stuff, man. Let's see. So yeah, so I have a system for puzzles, but one of the things, what I was starting to say is, when I'm designing a puzzle, I like to try and make it so that it's both something for the players to think through, as well as something that tests the characters more than the players, right? So I like, so if I have a riddle, I like it to be like, riddles are naturally going to be more about the characters, or the players and the characters, which makes them tougher to use, but I still like them as long as you keep it easy enough so that the players themselves can feel some sort of satisfaction. But with a puzzle, generally speaking, what I like to do is make it so that players are rewarded for the idea, not the details. Um, so it's like, I'm trying to think. There was yeah. So I had another puzzle. Let me pull up the last one. They were in the tomb here, and they find the right page. Yeah, here we go. This puzzle right here. So they were going through this puzzle, and the way it's designed, to give you just kind of a quick visual, they're in a room. They're kind of like in like an ancient Egyptian style tomb, right, with hieroglyphics and stuff all over the sides. And they're in a room that has four things in it. Excuse me. It's got 3 statues and 1 large golden chest. All right, and there is on the floor sort of a little riddle that's written. And it says, the treasure of Madeline is awarded only to those of heart as pure as her. Before you are 3 statues, each requires something. Provide for it what it needs, and it shall step aside. Fail, and it shall guard the treasure from you for eternity. And the idea was, if they could figure out what to provide, quote unquote, provide the statues, then they got rewarded what was in the chest, which was about 1,500 gold. Um, and if they failed, the statues would, rather than coming to life and stepping aside, they would come to life and essentially lay themselves on the chest so that it would never be able to be opened, because these are magical statues protected by magic. You can't just smash them with a hammer or something like that, right? So that was the idea, added to the fact that it was designed to be for a group of level 2s, so I wasn't too worried about them having some sort of game-breaking magic in place to to subvert what I was trying to accomplish here, right? So puzzle is 3 statues, each needs something, they have to figure out what it is. So I'll just read through it. 1 statue is that of a dog that sits patiently. It requires simply a pat on the head. So all I explained to them was, 1 statue is that of a dog that sits patiently. And I didn't say what the dog needed. So the challenge was for them to figure out, at least that 1/3 of it was to figure out, what does the dog need. And so, to reward the players without requiring that they necessarily figure out exactly what it is, you see I've got their animal handling skill of 11 succeeds, any other skill requires 14, right? So it's like the success for the player is figuring out to do an animal handling check. Now, of course, if they describe exactly, I go up, what we ended up doing was, one of them was like, I go up and I give the statue dog a scritch behind the ears. And that worked. That was exactly what it was. So the dog stood up and the statue moved and got out of the way for him. Uh, that said, if they hadn't explicitly said that, they would say, I want to go investigate something. then they would need a 14 to try and investigate the room or the statue for further clues on what they might need to do. But if they're like, I'm going to try animal handling because this seems like it might be some sort of magical riddle, then it would only. Excuse me. Oh my goodness gracious, man, it's going to be a long night. Then I would, for the animal handling skill, they would only need an 11 to succeed. Is the idea behind it. So, so it rewards the player for thinking of, okay, what skills does my character have at his or her disposal to try and figure this out, right? That's how it rewards the players. But then it's still dependent on the characters. Like, you don't want to have it be on 100% reliant on the player knowledge, because if there's a player, playing a real Grog style character, a really stupid guy, it's hard for them to think about, okay, I as a human, like I as the player, know what the answer is. Would my character know what that is? Right? So if you set challenges up like this, it sort of takes care of it for you. You know what I mean? Like it makes it so that as long as they're like, okay, so I know there's animals, they can kind of put clues together. They can say, I know there's animals. Sounds like these are magical, so that it might, it has a need, so maybe it behaves more like a real animal than a statue animal. So I'll give it scratches. Or I'll check animal handling to see if I know what exactly this dog might be in need of, right? So you kind of reward the player for thinking about that, while still letting it sort of be the character's thing and add some chance to it. So the next one statue is that of a peasant clutching his own throat. He needs water upon his lips. The idea was that it was someone who was dying of thirst, because this particular dungeon was in a desert. So, so that one I had them do. So one of the players was like, I'm going to do an investigation check. And so that was going to need a 14. But I still let them do it. And so I let him roll, and he rolled high enough, so I gave him the extra tip. I was like, okay, so as you're looking at it, you can see the way he's clutching his throat doesn't seem like choking. It seems more like, he like needs something to eat or drink. And so they pulled out a canteen and poured some water on, and that did it, right? So they earned the extra clue so they could figure it out. So it was a combination of the players and the characters solving the riddle, right? And so then the last one, statue of a peasant kneeling prostrate. So it's like bowing, begging. She needs forgiveness. And so that one took them longer. It took them a few rolls, but they didn't act because their rolls gave them, ideas of things that they could do without insulting or upsetting any of them, right? Because really the way to fail it would be, like, failing wasn't necessarily trying something and having it be wrong. Failing would have been trying to just steal the treasure regardless of if you had earned it or not. Um, and so that was the idea behind it. And it took them a few tries for that one. And that one, someone had a particularly good investigation roll to look around the room and notice that on the wall there were hieroglyphics showing many of the scenes that they were recreating there, with the person who was in the tomb, and one of them was the queen or the empress resting a hand on the head of someone kneeling in the same fashion, and so they tried that, and I gave it to them there, even though they didn't explicitly say I forgive or something like that, because it was, there's a certain degree that you give them, especially when they're level 2 players who have never played the game before this campaign. So at any rate, that's kind of my rule of thumb for trying to create a puzzle. You want it to be a challenge for both the characters and the players. You don't want it to be 100% a challenge for just the players or for just the characters. Like, it's frustrating when players can see exactly through the puzzle, when their character doesn't succeed at something that seems very obvious because they need a roll. But you also don't want to make it so that it completely disregards the player skills or the character skills, even if the player is a little unaware, and so that's why they make the proper check, then you feed them more information about what the solution ultimately is. So, at any rate, we need to go back into our shipwreck beach and we need to design another puzzle. Now, I think I have. Did I write down the rules for how the puzzle works? Sets, dungeon must-haves. I thought I had found a good system. I mean, I could probably remember it without too much difficulty. Maybe, I wonder if I put it in mechanics. No. Holding section, perhaps. I forgot exactly how. We can figure it out. We'll wing it. Because I basically remember the system. Let's see, we're working on Shipwreck Beach here. So the system that I have in place is I use a deck of cards. And what I've done with these deck of cards, you guys will see when I pull it up. Yeah, so what you can see on here is on each card, I have written one of these skill checks that I would normally do, or would request of players. Sorry, notification. So like on this one, the 6 of clubs, you can see was insight. If I pick another one, 5 of diamonds is history. So what I like to do is I like to just shuffle this up, right? And so I've got in mind the theme of this dungeon, right? The theme of it being pirates and whatnot, right? So we know it's going to be a piratey type of puzzle in place, a piratey and a shippy type of thing. And it might be more of a trap than a puzzle too. Like, that's fine. But it's some sort of skill challenge system is what we're going for here. So I'm just shuffling up my cards here. And I don't need a card count because, like, you don't worry about cheating for here, because if we're cheating, that just means I'm coming up with something completely in my own brain, and that's perfectly allowed. So, okay, so what I do is I do these, and I come up, and a lot of it's going to depend on how much of a challenge I want the puzzle to be. I do 3 skills or 3 components for a standard puzzle. If it's in a situation where I think it needs to be more difficult, we can add more. If I want it to be even simpler, then we'll take some away. Nothing wrong with that. But the standard I like to go with is 3. I think it's a good number. It gives multiple players a chance to sort of think about stuff, but it doesn't make it drag out too long or make the puzzle too convoluted. So, our first one, we have animal handling. Second one, we have religion. And our third one, that's good, medicine. So somehow this puzzle is going to incorporate animal handling, religion, and medicine checks, right? So those are going to be, and it's not that it's required, but they're going to be components to the puzzle that will be made easier by doing something that would require those checks. And now one thing that's fun to sometimes do, and I think I'm going to do it this time. I don't always do it, but something that's fun to do is you can draw one more, or I'll draw one more sometimes. That is like an automatic failure. Like, if they do anything with this skill check, they immediately fail the puzzle and don't reap the rewards from it. Excuse me. So, persuasion. So it's going to be a situation where if they try to persuade whatever's in there, it's going to be an automatic fail. So, when I'm looking at these, success made easier to achieve by animal handling, religion, and medicine, and persuasion being an automatic failure. So my immediate thought is some sort of anomalous zombie. A zombie that Apparently I don't know how to spell gems. I'm just noticing. That's weird. It's not gems, it's gems. Duh. Um, so I'm thinking that with these things, like, almost sort of like a wayward zombie type thing or something like that, or just some sort of puzzle interaction with a zombie. Because it's like, particularly I'm looking at the religion and the medicine, right? So it's like if you try to offer a solution rather than convince someone of what the solution is, you're gonna fail based on trying to convince them because, like, whatever it is, logic isn't. It isn't part of the creature or the puzzle's rapport here. But the problem with doing like a creature, especially a zombie in a zombie island, where they're all going to be looking for that, is oh god, I'm just gonna lean back a minute. I'm a sleepy boy tonight. Let's see here. So, what could require medicine, religion, and animal handling? But be failed with persuasion. Let me take a look here. Oops. Yeah, this works. I'll make that full screen again. 7. So 7. So that's right. So this can add a little bit of thought to it. This is the area where getting up to the second deck of it makes it possible to get on top of Region 5 and sort of get the drop. It's literally on the zombies in Area 5. So I'm wondering what could do that would lead. Yeah, it's tough with the medicine checks and stuff. I mean, religion isn't necessarily the hardest because you can kind of sit there. Like, you could kind of. This is a tough one. It's a tough one, but see, this is what I like, though. I like when it's a tough challenge. I like to have to think about it a bit, right? I don't want it to just automatically be an easy thing, because that means that they're going to have to think about it. Animal handling, religion, medicine. I'm almost wondering if we could do something ethereal. Like, provide the players with a chance to interact with some sort of being. Undead in there. I feel like there's like an idea bubble that's close to just being right there. Like, what if it was like a child's ghost or something, the spirit of a child who died on one of the ships or something like that, right? Family was traveling over on a merchant ship. Because if you have the kid, and then maybe the kid's worried about like a ghost puppy or something, and so if they use animal handling to soothe the dog, religion to sort of soothe the spirit of the child, and medicine to kind of heal the dog. I don't know. I feel like that's really forced, and I'm not super stoked about that. I might redraw for this one, honestly. Yeah, I think I'm going to redraw for this one. And I might even forego these this time because I'm coming up with an idea. The challenge ought to be just finding a route to climb up, right? Because the reward is having a better approach to 5. And I'd probably set it up so that if they get on top, then they could even have an advantage getting to 8, and they might be able to maybe in 8, because that's where the sort of prisoners, so to speak, are being held. the slave servants who ran away from the Cyclops. Um, and so if we just make it a challenge to climb up there and safely get across, like the extent, it could be that the puzzle extends even beyond 7. Like the first one is climbing, the second one is nimbleness, just dexterity to get across the crumbling area of 5 to either stand on top of 5 and attack down, in which case they might get a freebie and only have to do 2 parts of the 3-part puzzle, or and then a third part to get over to 8. Maybe it's like if you do like if climbing would be maybe just like a stand acrobatics or athletics. Check. Could do that one as like athletics and then acrobatics moving across. And then maybe something like maybe we've got acrobatics, athletics. Because I'm thinking like you could almost do like a sleight of hand with there just being like a mast rope hanging down from 8 that could be used to swing over to the top of 8, and then from there they could try and punch open and get the people out up through there. I don't mind that idea. I don't mind that idea. I think that could work. I'm gonna start writing it out. Right, so once we get the idea in place, we start writing it out. See, now that's one of the things too that I think is valuable about using a system, because when you're trying to fit an idea into a system, that's the best way to see that what you're trying to do needs to be separate from the system, right? It needs to have its own approach to things. And I think that's perfectly valid and valuable to try and pick up on. So, 7, the puzzle. So, yeah, marker 7. The puzzle here is to figure out how to get to the upper portion of this broken ship piece. If only I knew how to spell piece. Thank goodness autocorrect has my back. Yeah, so they're trying to get to the upper part of this broken ship piece from up there. From up there, there's can and try to move to other ship pieces to better attack zombies or better rescue the runaway slaves. There we go. Okay, yeah. Okay, I think that's good. Yeah, I'm Lord. Let's see here. Okay. First one we're gonna do athletics for the first one. So wait, first one, players need to climb the crumbling ship chunk that is region 7 is falling apart and will need great care to traverse safely. Alright, so if we do athletics rolls easy DC 11. Others difficult. DC 14. Because this is meant to be a low-level dungeon. We're talking levels 2 or 3 here. I think I settled on 2. Did I write that down? I better have written that down. Oh no, it's level 1. That's right. This is level 1. That's right. Because this is the first one that players are likely to find in this area. So, bada bing, bada boom. Level 1. Okay. I feel more awake. The caffeine's hitting my system. It's good. My stomach is upset, but we make sacrifices. Okay. Once on the proportion of the ship. We're gonna do of section. My gosh, section 7. Excuse me. Travel along upper portions to high region 5. This grants surprise attack on enemies within the region. Right. So that's really all it is. So then the check for this one, I'm thinking acrobatics, because the idea is that it will take very light, nimble feet to get across this crumbling upper portion that has many boards missing and many holes fallen through. So we're going to say acrobatics rolls easy, because it's so dilapidated and obvious. It's not hard for them to be like, oh, I know how to handle this. DC 11. Yeah. And then others difficult DC 14. Okay. And now we got to come up with a third one, which is the third. Third was to get to region 8. Let's see here. Players can reach region 8 from up on higher ship chunks. Chunks. Higher ship chunks. After making it up here, can use hole in floor to try and rescue the slaves. So this is hard because I've used up most of the physical ones already between athletics and acrobatics. I'm kidding, I know there's plenty more. But it is weird. Golly, man, I feel like I'm falling asleep here. Oof, it's bad. Yeah, so they're up there on region 8. It'll make it easier to save the slaves, pull them up. But that's after they're on there. So I'm thinking the puzzle itself should. I'm thinking the puzzle itself should include getting to the region and pulling the people that are trapped in there up as like part of the region 8 thing. So I'm thinking, because we've already got acrobatics and athletics, we could just do like a regular strength check, but that still falls under athletics really, to try and like grab a rope and swing over. There's got to be a creative way to make this different, right? Golly, feel like I'm being really boring when I'm trying to figure these out, but it's all part of the process, right? Trying to figure it out. I mean, I guess there wouldn't be a problem with necessarily having 2 athletics or acrobatics rolls be an important part of it to get the whole puzzle solved, right? That's not really actually a problem, is it? We'll just do, yeah, can use the hold in the floor to try and rescue the slaves. Yeah, okay, yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and do acrobatics again. Easy, easy. DC 11. And then others difficult DC 14. There we go. Yeah? Yeah. Although I need my other parenthesis there. Yeah. Let's see here. On failure. Players failing at any point will fall and take 1d4 fall damage. Damage easy enough. Damage. If falling during or falling over region 7 will alert the zombies inside and invoke an attack. I don't know if I want to make it punishing enough that the zombies also get like a free attack, because everyone else could react pretty quickly from up above. So it could be worse. So I think that's okay. Yeah, so I think that's good. It's good. Wards up on region 7 will have the high ground against zombies inside, allowing free attacks without retaliation from zombies, because zombies aren't going to have a way to climb up there. They're going to like be screaming and hissing and probably drawing attention to the area, but they can't climb up, because the whole idea is that players are going to have to take the time and spend some skill rolls, burn a couple of their skill rolls, like they have a limited amount of them, to try and get up there, right? So a zombie's not going to have the wherewithal to manage that. So I think that's good. I think that's real good, just like that is. Then up on region 8 can make skill checks. We're going to say C marker 8 below. We'll put that more in detail. Let's see here. Can make skill checks to rescue the runaways locked in and hiding from zombies. Here we go. Okay, so that pretty much takes care of our puzzle room. You know, it doesn't always necessarily have to have a tangible, massive reward. In this case, the reward is advantage, and I think that's perfectly great. The only other thing, though, is like it should probably include some experience points. And the system that I kind of like to do based on, so here's how you can kind of balance it and kind of balance the idea of if they beat the odds for things. Let's see, rewards. Let's go here. XP equal to total DC times. Oh my gosh, man, I'm getting tired of like hiccups and burps and stuff. My body is just disgusting. It's so gross, man. Human body's nasty. Nasty ass stuff. Says as it ingests a mild poison. It's okay, now it's gonna be healthy. Now we are on to I'm not gonna advertise it because I don't get paid to do that. Don't look at what it is. You can't look. I'm not getting paid for it. Because I definitely successfully hid that and no one saw what that was. Okay, so the rewards are going to be the total DC succeeded. Total DC succeeded times 10. Right? So if they succeeded at one of them, that's easy, and then 2 at difficulty, right? If they do that, then they get 14, 14, that's 28, 38, 39. So they get 39 times 10, 390 skill points, right? So it rewards succeeding at more challenging things a little bit more, and it offers experience that will sort of, in many ways, scale with the difficulty of the dungeon, right? The more challenging the dungeon, the more components to the dungeon, the more experience they get, right? And it also goes up with their levels and everything too. So it's like someone who is low level isn't going to be, just because of some weird arbitrary rule, getting like 3,000 experience points just from one skill challenge, right? It'll naturally go up as puzzles become more difficult with having more components and having more difficult skill or DC checks. So that's how we're going to do that. Oh, you know what? Oh, shoot. I should have been doing this all along. I should have also been providing the experience for these. I don't know it's standard, but I can't for the life of me remember it off the top of my head. So I guess I'm going to open this up just so I can pull up monsters real quick. Do that. But I'm thinking about it. I'm going to go ahead and do it. It's kind of unwieldy to do it right now, but man, my computer not showing off its speed very well right now. I mentioned before I'm on the wait list for a new. I'm on a wait list for a new graphics card whenever they come back into stock. I intend to get one and upgrade. It's time. It's time. This has been such a great computer, but it's old tech. We're getting close to decade-old tech right now, and it's just, like it can play games, but the creep is, the creeping decrease in capabilities is getting pretty obvious, right? It's like getting a little bit lower every time, where it's like it decreases a bit more, and it's like nowadays a game that most computers can handle, at least on high. It's like, oh yeah, we can achieve medium for settings or low graphic settings at 50 frames per second, or you can accept higher graphic settings for 28 frames per second. Which would you choose? It's like, I want both, but I can't tally that one and choose both. I gotta actually pick one. And if I've got the ability to, I'd really like to upgrade, and I really want to do a nice big upgrade to this one, so that way it can be, excusably set for another decade, really. Because at this point in time, because the technology is so old, I'm gonna have to upgrade the CPU. Like they don't have on the market GPUs that are low enough in capability that they aren't going to be bottlenecked by my CPU. Like that's just the state we're in. That's just the level we're in. So I'm already updating those two. But then because the CPU needs to be upgraded, because my CPU is so old, the motherboard that I have isn't compatible with new CPUs. So I'm going to have to get a new motherboard too. So it's not going to be the cheapest upgrade to do it that way. I mean, graphics cards are so expensive as they are now. But I'm kind of at a point where I'm like, shoot, you know what? I'm getting all of the really big ticket items, and I might upgrade my RAM while I'm at there, but I've got 16 gigs of RAM, which certainly having more RAM is never a problem, but having more RAM is more about, at that point, once we get above the 16 threshold, tends to be more about running a lot of programs at once. And as I've been able to demonstrate with these streams, like you can see my taskbar down there below, I've got a browser open. I've got two apps for the sake of capturing my screen and my camera. I've got Photoshop up open. I've got my Dungeons Painter Studio, and I've got Notebook open. Right? I could probably open up a couple other things too, and it would handle it just fine. So it's like I don't think the RAM is going to do a whole lot more, and that's an easy one to upgrade in the future. So it's like everything else is in place, but those three big ticket items are going to be there. So I'm kind of at a state now where it's like I can afford it, especially since it's looking more and more like we're going to get a stimulus check in the near future again. Like it's looking like it's not going to be the worst thing in the world to go ahead and just upgrade big time, and then I can be lazy and cheap for another 10 years. And think about it this way too. I built this computer 5 years ago using old tech. Right, I did that, and I got 5 good years out of it. And if we think about had I gone any worse on the tech, right? So like if I just barely upgrade now for tech that will only last me about 2 years, I mean GPUs are so expensive right now. Even something like that is gonna cost me like 500, 600, 600 hard ones. But if I upgrade using, if I drop an extra 1 to 200 on a GPU right now, then I can get one that'll be good for another 5 to 10 years, depending on how picky I want to be about that stuff. So by spending the extra 200 now, I'm going to be saving myself hundreds and maybe even thousands of dollars in the long run, because rather than needing to upgrade, once or twice more with another, another $500 thing, I can spend 200 right now and skip those. So it is an investment, and I think it's a wise one, knowing that I use my computer as heavily as I do. Um, the only downside at that point is because I'm planning on upgrading it that intensely, is I will then be bottlenecked by my monitors, which are 1080, 50 hertz refresh monitors, which are good. They are about the max that my computer can output. My current one can, so they're not a bottleneck now. But when I'm thinking about building a borderline 4K machine, then it's like, at that point I should probably think about upgrading my monitor at least to like a 1440 or something. So it's like I spend 200 more to upgrade the graphics card a little bit extra, and then spend 300 on a decent monitor to replace one of the two that I'm using, or even just put that one in the middle and then have two side monitors, which would be excessive but heavenly. Who needs that? Nobody. But who wants that? Everybody. That sounds awesome. So I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling on about nothing to no one right now. So, but it's fun, and maybe someone will come back and listen to that, and they'll be like, "Oh wow, that's when he started thinking about doing that thing with his computer that he then later did." So I'm going to quickly just find and throw in the experience points for all of these monsters. Just going to sort... no, it's probably not going to actually help me to sort by CR. That's not going to save me time. Because all the CR0s and CR1s and all that, they all have the same experience boost. But we're going to go like that. Like that. Okay, so let's see here. We need to... So CR0 is going to have, they're all going to be worth 10 XP. 0 got 10 XP is what we'll do for that, just to keep it all in one place. Now 1/8 crab. 1/8. That, call it huge giant crab. That, wow, that's some really creative naming they got going on there. So yeah, the huge giant crab is going to be 25 XP. Ash zombies. Ash zombie. Right, that'll bring us 1/4, and that will bring us up to 50 XP. You'd think that after writing D&D for as long as I would have this type of stuff memorized, but I just never seem to be able to get it in. Husk, it'll show up. Husk Zombie Burster. That'll be, where's our XP? 200. 200 XP. Alright, and so then what we can do is we can just so that way it's always there and ready to go. 2 Ash Zombies, so that's 100 plus another 50, so 150 XP to split. Then crabs times 10, 10 times 10, that's 100. So we'll do 100 XP to split. And I just make sure and say to split because that's like my signifier that it's not per player, that's for them to all split. Right? Because remember this is a level 1 dungeon, so it's gonna be low experience. I mean they only need a couple hundred experience ultimately to get up to level 2. So we don't want to give experience points away too willy-nilly in these early levels. You know, you get to higher levels and you can be a bit more loose with them. Let's see here. Let's see. I'm looking at this thing. I'm just gonna quickly do rewards. Reach beach safely. And we're just gonna say 100 XP for each successful successful skill check. There, easy enough. Alright, 7 crabs, that's going to be 70 XP total. 70 XP to split. 6 giant crabs, those were 25 apiece. That's 150. 150 XP to split. Go. Ash zombies, those were worth 50 apiece, am I right? Am I right? Yeah, so that's going to be, so 4 times 50, that's 200 experience points to split. P2, whoops, to split. 5 ash zombies, that's going to be 250 XP to split. 50 XP to split. And then the husk zombies, that's 200 plus 100, that's 300. That's 300 XP to split. There we go. There. Okay, got that filled out. And then the challenge, yeah, the challenge is good. Okay. Okay, so it's 8 o'clock. We're halfway through my stream. I'm going to pause just for a second, do a little bio break. That was good last time, made me feel a little less antsy. Maybe do a couple jumping jacks, wake myself up so I'm not like falling asleep in the middle of it, and hopefully not saying anything weird or creepy in my sleep if I do fall asleep. Boy, that would be fun to stream that crap. I have to watch this entire one to make sure I didn't say anything goofy while I was borderline dozing off there before I upload this one to YouTube, 'cause that'd be embarrassing. Be real embarrassing. Okay, so yeah, I will be right back. bleep a doop blah blah. Haha. Alright, I'm back. I am all bio breaked it up. We got 40 minutes left to work on some writing here, so I really want to finish this dungeon. And we're getting close because it's only just a one set dungeon here. We only got a couple more rooms that we got to work on. Okay, so we've gotten through. So I've been trying to make sure I explain all the rooms as we go through, and we'll just do a quick refresher. So remember, marker 1, that's when we do our guarded entrance, right? That's how we introduce and throw us into the dungeon. Excuse me, that was very, very classy of me. And I apologize for subjecting you all to it. But really, I'm not that sorry, because when I say you all, I mean literally nobody. There's nobody watching right now. I can look up the viewers list. The only viewer is the broadcaster, which is me. I don't even care, man. I'm having fun. I love it. Yeah, so the first room is the guarded entrance, right? And that's where it's all about trying to make sure that there's like a clear and decisive start to the dungeon, right? And some sort of way to introduce the fact that they are not in a safe environment is really what the point of it is supposed to be, right? So in this case, it's like the difficulty is just trying to reach the island in the first place. And so then markers 2 through, gosh dang it, this computer does this. It's OneNote. It's not the computer really. It's OneNote. It's a weird thing where if I'm not focused on the screen and I start scrolling, it doesn't actually scroll it. Anyway, 2 through 6 are all of our combat-based ones. And remember, the combats, I do 5 different difficulties essentially. We've got an easy one, an average combat, a difficult one, a deadly combat, and then a boss combat, which is also set to deadly. I don't like making them easy because I also include, as you see when we get down here, marker 10, safe, right? I include a safe room, like an area where it's meant to be that if players board themselves up there, it's easy and reasonable for them to think that they will get a long rest. So like when I do the wandering monsters, when it's one of those situations where I roll the d10, basically if they're in there and they roll a 6 or 7, those just turn into uneventful nights is sort of what I do in the safe rooms there. So there's plenty of opportunity for them to rest up. So I don't like making the combats too easy. Because if they're too easy, they're not worth it. Even if it's like, because if they're too easy, they don't even have to use extensive amounts of resources, like spells or anything like that. And so we don't end up really, like, hindering them in any way. And defeats the purpose. The other thing of it is, it's not even worth it in terms of experience points, right? Because as you can see with even our easy one, even our easy combat, 70 experience points. They're only getting 70 experience points to split, right? There's not many of them. It's there, at that point, the easy guys are really just there for scenery. They're there for them to get a few quick, easy squishes and feel like they did something, right? You got to get to the boss combats, at level 1, 300, because that's to split, remember. That's how much experience points they get to split. I don't like giving out too much experience in one single situation. I like players to feel like they have to earn their levels. I don't like throwing levels at them. I don't, it cheapens the system, and it's not fun if they're, 5 sessions into a campaign and already level 10. There's no campaign involved there then. It's basically just character creator followed by, just a few quick things to sample how great and powerful your characters are. That's not the point of the game, right? That's not fun. So, at any rate, markers 2 through 6, we get combat. Marker 7 is puzzle. That's what we just did. Always make sure there's some sort of puzzle, some sort of like tangible challenge for them to do without it being, without it having to be all about combat. Players and their characters have a lot of skills, and granted, the idea of playing in between the dungeons is really where the skill checks come into play, right? When they're trying to haggle to reduce the price of the shop, or trying to get information from someone about a mystery, or where they should go next, things like that. Um, but I like to include some of that in dungeons, so that way if there's a support character, they have the chance to really shine, right? It's like it's tough for a bard if a dungeon is all about combat, right? Because the bard's just sitting there like, yep, I guess I'll strum and inspire, and I guess I'll do that, But then if we get to a situation where it's like suddenly, oh man, there's a lot of charisma-based challenges happening in this particular dungeon, then that's their time to really shine, And I like this one being a much more physically oriented one, because granted, the characters who are physically capable are ones that are going to shine during combat, certainly. But it also gives them the chance to show that they're not just a big hammer or a sharp sword, right? They can actually impact their ability, the group's ability to survive in dungeon. Like they're a tangible asset outside of combat, and that's important. So marker 8. This is where we add a twist. I say twist, but really what I use it as is like a free for all. Just a free for all room, one room for me to just say, I feel like this dungeon, given the theme of it and given what they're trying to accomplish, needs this thing or that thing or this other thing, right? And so what I'm doing with this one, this is where we're going to go ahead and put the slaves that they're trying to rescue. So bullet point it here. This area, the 2 runaway slaves. What did I name them again? I gave them different names. Polly and Chengwu. That's right. Polly and Chengwu have barricaded themselves and are waiting for an opportunity to escape from the zombies. Now here's where we get a little game mechanic-y. So I'm gonna put this in here for the notes. No matter when the players interact, they will have been in that room without food or water for nearly 2 days. So they've been trapped in there, and the others who will bring it up to them will say, like, we don't have the weapons or the abilities to go face all these zombies. We can't possibly get in there and rescue them. But they need help, right? That's the situation that they're stuck in. Because Cheng Wu, remember, is the one who's like physically capable, but is sort of operating with like, I imagine Cheng Wu has a rusty machete and maybe some armor made out of tree bark or something like that, right? They're very much just trying to survive on bare minimum away from not Captain Solomon, Ignatius, who is Cyclops that is terrorizing this island. So let's see here. And so what we're going to do is, if players help them escape, the other slaves in their little hideout camp will be grateful and much more willing to help the players out however they can. I'm also going to put in here, just as a note, if players have been approached by other slaves to help rescue these two, but the players ignore the request. Ignore with G. Ignore ignore the request. The other slaves will be cold, though not confrontational. So it's like this is an opportunity. This is kind of where it comes in as a twist. This is an opportunity for players to have their dungeon crawling impact a larger picture than just what they're immediately doing right then, right there, right? So there's not going to be a tangible reward in terms of money, but if the players help out and help rescue them, then if there's a situation in which are they are harassed by Ignatius, oh, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. Okay, hold on. So we're gonna go back into our overall thing right here, right? Because we have things here. So combat. So let's see here. Okay, I gotta figure out something that I want to replace here. We're gonna be, okay, yeah. Oh, I'm excited about this. This is gonna be good. This is gonna be really good. Okay, we're gonna at night. There's just a 1 in 20 chance. Combat special event. Ignatius is on the hunt. He comes across the players and will begin to pursue them. Let's see here. I gotta think about a couple of mechanics here. Could just fight him. See mansion page for Ignatius combat details. So they could do that. They could take care of that part almost out of order if he encounters them. Can try to run. So now there's going to be two things. See, this is where it gets really fun when you can start doing sort of little event trees, right? And it starts kind of doing the if yes then this, if no then this types of situations. And these are the types of things that are very rudimentary versions of it, but like rudimentary versions of a lot of just sort of like game processes, especially when you think about doing an RPG game. Like if players have done this, then computer will do this, right? Obviously, there's so much more complexity that goes into a video game because a video game is trying to recreate, everything that my brain is capable of doing, of keeping up with that. But the theory is still there, right? So they can try to run if they have rescued Polly and Sheng Wu. See shipwreck beach. They will automatically succeed in fleeing because the slaves will help them by distracting Ignatius. If they haven't rescued Polly and Sheng Wu, running requires successful I think it's going to be dexterity is what we want to do. Successful dexterity saves for just straight up running. Successful dexterity saves DC, and then we're going to do it since he's supposed to be for the level 5. We're going to go ahead and make it. It's difficult. So level 5 difficulty is still at 14. Yep, so it's still 14, so that's no problem then. It's not going to be too much, I don't think, for any level players. DC 14 from all to ditch him if they want to run. So there we go. So so there's already we've got some fun stuff, and that's where like kind of having this system over here where you kind of have branching stuff that interweaves and goes into different things starts getting really cool and starts getting really fun, right? So the rewards for this, for doing this, aren't monetary, but they are still functional, right? It's not just, oh, we can feel good, we saved people. Like it'll start having real events. It'll start having potentially real impacts. And the thing that's really cool about that is because it's all based on chance, it's not going to happen every time. So players aren't going to feel like they need to be completionists in dungeons because it will kind of feel random. It'll have a nature of feeling like, oh, he's just a good DM who thought of this one little event, and they won't realize, if you're doing this for like every dungeon in a region, and you're doing and you're doing that in every region, they won't realize that there's the potential chance for them to encounter like callbacks 3 or 4 times a session because it's all based on chance. It's all based on chance that is originally in the first place based on what they are doing. So it ends up being a really cool way to add depth without having to constantly memorize what has transpired all the time, right? The only and even then, even if you don't want to pre-plan all these types of things, if you want to be more reactive about it, all you got to do is you got to take detailed notes about what happens during any session. So then you can take those notes and call back to them and then add those edits into these things and be ready to use them, right? But don't just try to do everything off of memory. You can't do that because there's so many cool ways to interact things. So I mean, you can even just tell with the tone of my voice and like how into this I'm getting. Like this is the stuff I love. This is why I love writing and doing this hobby, and why I love sharing it too, because I want other people to encounter this. So at any rate, marker 9. So this is where our reward is going to be. So in here, marker 9. So there's going to be a treasure chest is what we're going to do. It's a pirate ship. I mean, we're talking about pirate ships, baby. There's got to be a treasure chest. You kidding me? There's got to be a treasure chest. This has got to be. So let's see here. So these guys, what am I struggling to find right there? The one note. Okay, so this ship chunk is. Oopsie. I should probably be putting spaces in between my words. Wrong place. Wrong space for a space. This ship chunk is extremely damaged and requires either strength checks of DC 12 or a small sized character to weave through the wreckage. Let's see here, and then sort of in the center, a lot of fallen decks, masts, and ballasts. I don't even know if I'm really using those words right, but they're nautical type words, and it'll add to the imaginary authenticity to all of my players who want to be pirates but have no idea what it takes to pilot a ship. Right, but in the center of all that is a chest filled with ... Okay, so here's where we can do some interesting stuff. So we've provided a reward for beating where is it? For beating this guy, right? They find half buried in the sand in one of the corners of this area is a chest. That's where the money is. So in here there's going to be a chest, and it's going to have some money in there, but it's going to have something more interesting too, is what I always like to do. You know, I like to have the actual like true reward of all of these dungeons be like, basically I like to provide hints towards where another cool dungeon or adventure could be, right? And it's just a way to sort of fool players into going towards stuff I've already made, you know. And so right now it's a little risky because they might find it and then want to go after something, because I'm not going to be making what I'm going to be putting in there right away. But what we're going to do is, let's see here, we're going to go ahead and just toss Ab another 400 gold. And we're going to toss at him another 100 P worth of gems. Right, and so then now we're going to add a couple other valuable items. I'm going to do let's see. So here's where I like to kind of have fun, also giving unique items. And so I'm just going to right now off the top of my head invent an item. So we're going to do Captain Solomon's telescope. Telescope with magical lenses installed in it. Using this telescope while on a ship that is at sea grants advantage to the user on perception checks that require the telescope's use. So basically it's like when you're using it, if you're using it at sea to identify something, it's got slight magical properties where it gives them advantage. So it's not just a telescope, but the lenses themselves are a little magical, and like sort of the flavor text. What we'll do is we'll do flavor text. A telescope with view enhancing traits beyond simple wood, glass, and brass. Let's see here. When looking through this telescope, while at sea, important objects such as land masses or other ships. Let's see, how do I want to flavor it? Like, I'm thinking, what I have in mind is like, you look through it and things are highlighted almost as if like there's fairy fire on it, right? So there's like a little colorful outline, outlined with a faint pink hue. Yeah. So we'll just do that, right? And so that just adds a little bit of interest for the players, right? It gives them something cool. You know, and my first thought when I was doing this was I was thinking like, oh, we'll give them like a treasure chest to another thing, but I don't know if I want to do that necessarily, because that's something that's really specific to the players. So I feel like that's something that I would rather give to them. Like, I'll give them plenty of like treasure chests, but I don't want it. I don't want every game that comes here to be turning into a pirate one. So the telescope, you know, using it when at sea, that could be handy even when you're not a pirating group, right? I mean, it's clearly flavored to be that way. But if everything is just a treasure chest, I feel like that pigeonholes a campaign. If that's, you know, going to be the precedent we're setting, it makes it feel like it's just a treasure hunt. And not everybody wants that campaign. So I'm thinking what we'll do is we'll save treasure maps. You know, like for this group, we'll save that for when they interact with an NPC who is meant to give them some sort of quest or something like that. Because that way, then, you know, I can build a dungeon, you know, more dungeons that are off to sea that are meant to be providing just like pirates' treasure. But, you know, I'm free up to use those when the location makes sense for any other group, is what I'm thinking. So we're going to leave it at that. and then marker 10 is safe. I'm pretty sure I put marker 10 up there. Yes. So marker 10, that signifies, let's see here. This marker signifies leaving the beach and hiding out just beyond the tree line. Let's see, the tree line. Camping away from the ships grants safety from the zombies who don't leave the beach, but still allows players to keep tabs on what is going on. Let's see here. Players will still be vulnerable to we're gonna do to region-wide challenges seen in. See, now here's where I gotta start remembering to do stuff. We can copy a link to page, seen in, oopsie, shoot. Hold up. Seen in I4. There we go. See, so you do that, and now, because then it's like, oh yeah, we'll do in like I4, and you go like, bada boom, and there it is, right? And so then they can see those things. Yeah, buddy, yup. I like it. I like that. I really like that, having worked on those things and come up with these things. And so that pretty much does it. That does it for this dungeon, right? Potential outcomes. So this I don't really do a whole lot. So let's see what we'll do. What I will do is, if players rescue Chengwu, not Shengwu, Chengwu, and oopsie, and Polly, it will have impacts on the rest, the runaway slaves on the island. Primarily, it will make them friendlier and more willing to put themselves in danger to assist the players. So yeah, so there we go. So I'm talking a lot about having having this sort of camp of the slaves. So I'm just going to put a little blurb here. And we're going to put it in Magic and Oddities. It doesn't really fit, but I think it's sort of the section. And what we can do is we can change it to Magic, Oddities, and Notable Items. Do stuff like that, right? So the center of the island in the rainforest like woods, there is a small camp of approximately 10 runaway slaves. These are the people who have been enslaved upon this island by Ignatius. They live extremely primitively, and the camp's exact location often moves, right? Because they're not staying in one place, because they're constantly on the run from Ignatius, and once he finds a camp place, obviously they have to find a new one, otherwise he's going to continue to harass them at that place. The exact location often moves. They, the inhabitants, are magically cursed to immortality by Ignatius. So one thing that I want to think about is I think I'm going to make sure that all of them are aware of the fact that their survival now is tied to Ignatius' survival. Um, and yeah, like they're all aware of that. And there's one of the things that's difficult about this is when you think about people who have been enslaved in immortality for over 100 years. They're immortal, not invulnerable. They can still be killed, and that includes by their own hand. So it kind of begs the question, why wouldn't they all just suicide pact themselves and just be done with it? Um, and I think it sort of depends. I think that's sort of dependent on a little bit of suspension of disbelief, because what I think we ought to do is just consider it like the characters here um, have their own motivations, whether it's fear or a lack of strength to kill themselves, and none of them are willing to kill each other. Or some of them, like Cheng Wu, who is a much more aggressive and robust individual, much more combative individual, is more thinking along the lines of wanting to protect those from Ignatius, because even if they're too afraid to die, they don't, like, Ignatius isn't going to kill them, he's going to torture them. So Cheng Wu isn't willing to kill any of his companions, his or her companions. Cheng Wu is supposed to be ambiguous. Um, and but so like Cheng Wu won't kill any of the companions of the village, but is unwilling to let them fall victim to Ignatius. And in some degree, Cheng Wu and maybe a couple others feel a responsibility to find a way to kill Ignatius so that there can't be any others who fall victim to his curse. So it's like they're all aware that they're going to die, but they all have reasons, their own reasons, to not just kill themselves. And it might be worth putting a couple notes about that, but let's just finish writing this out. So let's hear, all are aware that the curse keeping them alive will be broken by killing Ignatius, thereby killing them as well. They all have reasons for not having committed suicide at this point, but they are all aware of their imminent imminent death upon Ignatius' death, and are accepting of that reality. Ultimately, all of the slaves would welcome eternal rest after dealing with this form of eternal suffering at Ignatius' hand. But wish to see Ignatius destroyed rather than killing themselves and leaving the rest to deal with his treachery. So that's kind of ultimately what it is. Some of them might be kind of guided by fear, which is going to be more so Polly's case. But someone like Chengmu, that's going to be the big motivator. Is like, I'm not letting Ignatius survive this to continue to hunt and torment everyone else. So, so we've got our little bit about the camp there. I'm not. That's not something that I want to go through the trouble of pulling up and re-editing all the maps. Re-photoshopping it and doing all that stuff. It's just, that's where it's gonna be. That's how it's gonna be. Um, can pull it up just to look at it, but there it is. Yeah, 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 yeah. So yeah, it's like the camp would be somewhere around in this area here. Oops, hold up. I can't see what you guys are seeing. Somewhere around in this area right here is where it would go. But like I say, there's not really any point in doing a permanent because they move around the island. Um, so, so yeah, I think let's see, it's a few minutes before 9, but I think this is an appropriate time to call it. We finished Shipwreck Island or Shipwreck Beach, which is awesome. That was my goal for the week. We're only halfway through the week, and I made it through the goal that I had set out. So I am pleased with that. I am very, very pleased with that. I love made some progress. I love that I was able to do it in a way that's shared with some people. We didn't have many viewers or any viewers stopping by today. But I'm still thinking back, like, it's amazing how far just a little bit of interaction and positivity can carry you, especially in today's day and age. I still think about last Friday when I was doing some writing. People dropped by and we were sharing ideas about different homebrew classes and stuff like that. That was so much fun. So much fun, and that's the type of stuff that's going to keep me going with this and keep me wanting to share this, because even if it doesn't happen very often, when it does happen, it's so cool. It's so cool to share ideas with people and interact with people in that way. And I think that's one of the beauties of technology nowadays, and beauties of being able to stream like this, is that we can really be collaborative with people who we would otherwise never even really know existed. And I think there's something kind of beautiful about that. I think the internet has damaged our societies in a lot of ways, um, but I think that that's really a human thing of us misusing the technologies available to us as opposed to the technologies themselves being problematic. So, at any rate, awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. I think next week what we will do is, or not next week, this Friday. Yes, I am streaming this Friday. I am still going to stream this Friday. It's Saturday that I start getting busy for a few days. We're going to stream this Friday. We're going to, let's see here, we did make a few changes. We're going to save this real quick so I don't forget. Beach, save, yes, we want to overwrite that. Oops, let's try that again. Save. Yeah, we want to replace it. Okay, there we go. We didn't have any issues that time. That was weird. Just wanted to make sure. Yeah, so I'm thinking next time. Oh, I know what's kind of confusing me right now because I closed out of our map. Hold up, let me pull it back up. I think, we might be in a situation where it's going to give me issues with my drive. We'll see. We'll see. I might have to do some fussing with that. Oh boy. But yeah, no. So we did Shipwreck Beach. And I'm thinking the next one to do, was it the abandoned mine? Let's see. Did I outline all of these things? Yeah. Here we go. Pirate Cove. Pirate Cove. That's what we're gonna do. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense, especially since I'm gonna use this next for my pirate group, and I was gonna incorporate some of their backstory stuff with that. So yeah, so next time we'll start on the Pirate Cove, and that'll be a fun time. We can spend some time talking about and thinking about character backstories and how to incorporate them into stories and stuff like that. So yeah, that's gonna be fun. I'm excited about that. I think that's gonna be pretty cool. So yeah, I think that'll do it for tonight. I'm glad I was able to sit here and do this. If anyone comes by and watches the YouTube replay, then thank you for checking out my stuff. Yeah, this is fun, man. It's still fun. I still love doing this. Week into it, I still love it, and I'm just gonna keep going with it. And, I mean, the fact is, within a week, I've already had a few viewers, so I'm thinking that, this is something that I might be able to get a small little following with as I improve and get better at this. And get brave enough to start actually trying to advertise myself. I'm not confident enough to do that, but baby steps, man, baby steps. But yeah, for now, we are gonna do some gaming streaming. We're gonna stream some Borderlands tomorrow, Thursday. Friday, I will be back to do some writing. And then after that, I'm gonna be out of town for a couple days. I am finally getting my second dose of COVID vaccine, and with that sort of newfound confidence, my family has requested that I go visit a couple people. Um, Many of them have been vaccinated as well. So within our family, we're feeling pretty confident and pretty healthy and pretty excited to see each other. So it'll be the first time seeing any family since the holidays. So that's going to be really nice because it's just it's you would think that by living alone and working from home, it'd be easy to get like those 2 weeks of isolation. But when you got to do grocery shopping and stuff like that, and you gotta you do stuff like that, it's hard to get 2 full weeks of pure quarantine. So we're excited to be able to get ourselves some vaccines, so that way we can be a bit more confident in seeing each other. Because it's been a lonely year. It's been a very lonely year. So with that in mind, yeah, I won't be streaming on Saturday or Monday. So Saturday's gaming stream and Monday's writing stream are definitely canceled. My intent is to be back home in time to stream on Tuesday. That said, no promises because I may be pretty beat after a weekend of visiting with family and catching up. I'm a pretty introverted person, so going and staying multiple days, even with family members who I love dearly, is exhausting to me. So I may need a night off on Tuesday, but we'll see. Coming on and streaming some Borderlands might be exactly what the doctor ordered at that point. So, at any rate, thank you to everyone who uh, has taken the time to watch any part of this video. It's cool stuff. I love doing it. And so, yeah, like I always say, be good to each other. Spread some good in the world. Rock on, and we'll see you next time. We'll see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow with some Borderlands. All right.